Hello, and you're very welcome to another GAA podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course, this podcast is brought to you by Orgarich.com and Atak.ie. Using promo code GAA podcast to get 15% off on Orgarich.com. I get the best skins, gloves, and equipment on Atak.ie. Be attack minded. And if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe on YouTube because the sport's been absolutely brilliant so far. And tonight, I'm joined by former Longford footballer Diarmuid Masterson to talk about last weekend's championship action and this weekend's championship action. So, lots to talk about, lots to discuss, and delighted to have Diarmuid tonight. How are you keeping, Diarmuid?
Not too bad, John. Know yourself, yeah. Just settling back in now, trying to get back to a bit of normality after the long weekend.
Sobered up yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, it doesn't take too much there now to get drunk there these days. There, and don't be out that much there now. So don't. I'm trying to get myself in a bit of shape there for the championship there, leading up there now. The football is going to be coming thick and fast there, so. I know, good weekend there, and so we got a little bit of a introduction into the championship, but we only got a small little taste. It was mostly hurling the weekend, so we're looking forward to a few more games there, marquee games there this weekend. Those two championship there especially.
No, 100%. We're kind of waiting for it to kind of kickstart. It did kickstart the weekend. Obviously, the 3 games you did have, so it'll be good to talk about it. So we're looking forward to it. And did you get see many of the games? I suppose if you're out and about or the Tyrone from any of them?
Yeah, seen some highlights of Tyrone from any game. I've seen the second half myself there, but I know Fermanagh were very competitive in the first half, and they would have been probably a little bit disappointed there. They let the game get away from themselves in the second half, but that's what some of these Division 1 teams is going to do to the teams in the lower divisions. They're going to increase the intensity as the game goes on, and it's going to be harder and harder to keep with them. They have the bigger panel. They're bringing on top class footballers off the bench there. Conor McKenna as well, especially seeing what he done when he came into the game, and it's very hard for the lower division teams to be fit to keep with that for the full hour, 70 minutes. So. But Fermanagh have a lot of positives they can take from that there, and I'd say they'll be going into the Tailteann Cup there with confidence as well too, a competition that they'll be looking that they'll be capable of winning there as well too. So, but it was a case of job done for Tyrone and moving on to bigger challenges as they continue to progress in the Ulster Championship.
100%, Jeremy. I suppose before we kind of touch on to the action that took place, and obviously this weekend's action, Jeremy, were you happy with Longford's obviously league campaign? We obviously see new management in Billy O'Loughlin, Mickey Hannon, and I think Paul Brady, 2 Cavalmans involved in the kind of setup. But were you happy with Longford's progress and obviously looking ahead to the championship?
Longford's the fact that Longford managed to stay up in Division 3 there this year was an achievement, most definitely. It came down to the final game in the league, and travelled down to play Laois in Port Laois, and that's been a graveyard for Longford football there over the last numerous years. They're playing championship games in Port Laois, and it's very rare we come out there with a win. So the lads put in one of their best performances in the league in the last game when it mattered most. So that was positive there for anybody supporting Longford football there this year. There's a lot of transitioning being done, a lot of younger players after coming through this year onto the team, and they'd be delighted there to have that little bit of stability there going forward in the league, retaining Division 3 status, and you'd be hoping that they can kick on some of those younger lads there after getting the experience this year, that they can kick on now next year and hopefully maybe challenge for promotion, because the league is where it's at when you're playing with some of these teams in lower divisions. Like, the league that's the competitive competition that you're in, and that's the competition that you're going to be looking towards, trying to win a bit of silverware and get a chance playing in the final up in Croke Park. So to stay up in Division 3, that was an achievement for Longford, and Everton after that has bonus territory for them if they can get a win in the Leinster Championship, and they'll be obviously going into the Tailteann Cup with all the rest of those teams. They'll be looking at it's a competition that they can realistically go far in then as well too. So they'll be confident there after staying in Division 3 this year.
Yeah, super stuff, Jeremy. I suppose, are you happy with kind of the way Longford football is moving? Because obviously we see like a lot of chopping and changing managers, players stepping away, players coming in, and probably a bit of transition going on at the minute. But do you feel, and are you happy? I know if you got to end of the Longford games, of course, this year, but do you feel the right men's in place to take Longford football forward?
Yeah, look, it's not a simple job there for anybody to come in and start, a team with so many changes in it there over the last couple of years there, and so many new faces. I thought that the lads done an admirable job there to keep them up in Division 3. So Longford, there's plenty of good footballers in Longford, but it's it's just one of those things. You're going into a Leinster Championship there, and you've got teams like Dublin in it there that are just, they're so far ahead of you, like that. The league is really where it's at there for Longford, and to be managed to retain their status there this year, that'll do a world of good for the confidence of those younger lads coming in, and the experience playing county senior football this year for a lot of them. But the main thing is that they hold on to some of the the top players that they have there, that's been there the last few years, like Mickey Quinn and Darren Gallagher and these lads. They're the senior lads there. They're the marquee footballers there in Longford, and once they're fit to retain them and mix in a few new faces there, then the boys will be hoping to get a little bit of progress there next year. I'd say Billy and the lads there will be looking to maybe push for promotion there next year if they can. You see Mickey Hart there with the momentum he got with Louth. He's after getting back-to-back promotions there with Louth, so they'll be delighted going up into Division 2, and Offaly got up there last year then as well. I know they're back down again, but there's no reason why Longford can't get up to Division 2 and be playing against a few bigger teams then again there next year.
Fingers crossed, German. Absolutely. We wait and see, and obviously looking forward to the championship. So I suppose we can touch on to Saturday's action in the Ulster Senior Football Championship preliminary round in Brewster Park. It was Tyrone 2-17 for Fermanagh 2-10, and German, I suppose a lot of talking points from this game. Obviously, we all did think Tyrone were going to come out and top by a 6 or 7 point win. They did in probably comfortable enough fashion. The goals they did concede, they'd probably be disappointed with them. Mr. Conor McKenna got his marching orders briefly after being taken on and then taken off again. Scored some lovely points. Obviously, Cavan's Joe McQuillan sent them off. How we've seen it, obviously, after the Fermanagh player eye gouging the Tyrone player. But there you go, German. That's the world we live in. But look, Tyrone got over the line and they've bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, look, the start of the game sluggishly enough. Fermanagh were up for it, and I'd say Tyrone went in with a little bit of complacency into this game. But yeah, look, they came out in the second half and they played with a lot more of the intensity that you associate with this Tyrone team. Like you mentioned there, McKenna coming off the bench there had a massive influence on the game and kicked some lovely scores. I thought the switching of Con Kilpatrick in from midfield into the full forward line there made a massive difference there as well. He's a big, powerful lad. They're a great man at getting out and winning ball out in front. And both of those players were involved in that melee that you were talking about at the end of the game. Look, I can see by the letter of the law how McQuillan gives McKenna the red card, even though I mightn't 100% agree with it there. He was the third man in and it's instigating a melee, but I just don't see how a Fermanagh player has come out without getting his marching orders out of that there as well too, because like what you said there, the wing back there, he had his hand on the eye of Kilpatrick on the ground there as well too. It kind of looked like a bit of an eye gouge. I just don't see how Tyrone were the only team that came out with a red card out of that melee, but the reputation maybe might be preceding them. They've been involved in a few of them there this year already, and maybe referees are going in there with that mindset there that this is what Tyrone is they're going to be doing and that, and it's harsh on them. But look, they've plenty of options there as well too, so they'll be moving forward and they'll have lots of lads to come in and make a name for themselves then the next day as well.
No, 100% German. Obviously, touching on the game, obviously, the believe probably is a lot of talking points coming from it. But we are impressed with the Tyrone display. I know the first half probably lacked a lot of quality. The second half it opened up a bit more, as all probably games really do in the obviously the championship. But were you impressed with the Tyrone's performance? But in fairness, the goals they did concede, they will be disappointed with them. The second goal they conceded, obviously Niall Morgan gave him, I think it was Roland McNamee a bit of an earful about switching off. But look, Tyrone, they got the job done, German, and that's probably all that needs to be said.
Yeah, look, Fermanagh put a bit of a loss in the scoreline at the end of the game. Like, Tyrone were very comfortable there. In the second half, they pulled away, and Fermanagh got a couple of goals. And fair play to Fermanagh, they kept going till the final whistle, and they got a couple of good goals and deserved them there because they had a couple of goal chances that they missed in the first half and as well too. So, but no, Tyrone, it'll be a case of job done for Tyrone. They won't be giving this game a second thought. Like, they'll be moving forward and they'll be thinking of bigger days ahead now, and they'll be trying to go through those to championship there and collect silverware and that. Like Conor Myler there, he's back in unbelievable form again there as well too for them. They've a lot of players playing top football there. Darren McCurry there is in the form of his life as well. So Derek Hanavan there is a great playmaker there for them on the centre forward position then as well too. But look, Tyrone have loads of options. Tyrone will be looking to keep building as the year goes on. They're the All-Ireland champions. They've their eyes on bigger prizes. They probably had a little bit of complacency going into this game, but it's a case of job done for them, and they'll be a bit disappointed obviously about the red card. But yeah, no, they'll definitely be. Tyrone's going to be one of the teams that's going to be there at the end of the season, and yeah.
No, 100%. And were you kind of impressed by the Tyrone kind of full forward movement? Maybe it took Conor McKenna to liven things up a bit, and obviously, as you rightly said there about Conor Kilpatrick kind of going in full forward. So I suppose the movement of the Tyrone play, and obviously Conor Myler got man of the match, so that kind of speaks volumes about the year he's probably going to have again, Diarmuid. So look, I know there's probably a lot said about the lads leaving, but at the end of the day, look, Tyrone, they're a smart team. Diarmuid the season quite well, so all hope's not lost just yet, Diarmuid. One would say.
No, definitely not. No, they'll continue to build. Like I'd be expecting Tyrone to be there, you know, at the very end of the season. There'll be some people's favourites again to retain the All-Ireland Championship. Like I'd say, most people are probably going to go on along the lines of Kerry there with the league that they had and some of the top forwards that they had. But like Kerry has let people's predictions down there in the previous few years as well. But Tyrone have that. You know, they have that edge to them there as well too. When they go into big games there, they know how to get across the line. A few big powerful players. Like I was very impressed with Con Kilpatrick there the weekend as well. You know, great athlete there. And then Conor Myler, like he's an unbelievable athlete there as well too. So yeah, no, they'll be happy. Like they'll be happy just to have got through that. They won't have been happy with the first half performance with the complacency, but no, they'll continue to improve, and I would have them probably as favourites there to win the Ulster Championship, and they'll be definitely there at the end of the season.
And obviously moving on to the Fermanagh and things, Diarmuid, a 7-point loss, and I know they probably made it look a bit better than it was really at the end, but and it's probably onto the Talton Cup really. And as I was saying to a fellow on the podcast last week, that look, they probably would have maybe tried to get a big scalp against Tyrone. I know 7 points isn't the worst, but it really does go to show how far they are down the pecking order, Diarmuid. Like, let's be real about it.
Yeah, first half, you know, Fermanagh, like anybody that was at the game there in Brewster Park there, they would have been very happy there with some of the performances and the way they were, you know, controlling the game there for large parts in the first half, and they were creating goal chances. Like, they created a good few goal chances. That's something that Tyrone's going to be looking at, you know, moving forward there, how they let them Fermanagh in for as many goal chances as they did. And if Fermanagh were a little bit more clinical there, you know, they probably needed a good few goals there against Tyrone there to get across the line. This is what you need to do, you know, lower divisions there. You need to be getting goals against these bigger teams there, because you know that they're going to come back at you there in the second half, and as the game continues to progress, that they're going to continue to get stronger. So Fermanagh, I'd be disappointed that they didn't take those goal chances. They took a couple of goal chances at the end. The game was probably realistically over at that stage. But no, I was impressed with some of the running that they were doing off the shoulder there as well too. You've got a couple of good players there. The Jones is there as well. Fermanagh will be looking like, you need to be playing up in the higher divisions there to be competing with these teams in Division 1. Like, you need to be at least playing Division 2 and Fermanagh this year probably had a sort of a mixed bag of a league campaign. They had a couple of good wins thrown in with a couple of bad losses in it there. They'll be going into the Talton Cup though, and they'll be seeing that as a competition that they can realistically win. So it's a matter of whether they're fit to hold on to the players that they have in the panel there now and move forward and take that competition seriously. Hopefully it gets the exposure that we all hope it does get. But Fermanagh will be right there for that. Like, that'll be a competition that they'll be setting their sights on. And
yeah, no, definitely, Diarmuid. I suppose really, as I said, being realistic about it, like, I know they had a bit of an up-down league, and, you know, as I said on the podcast last week, that, you know, like, Ulster Championship, you want to be going up the steps of Clonus, lifting that Angus Cup, and another year just ended for them really, Diarmuid. And I don't know if you can get a bit of a level playing field going for the championship. I know that there's a lot of talk about this Talton Cup, but realistically, if you are a Fermanagh player, you know, leaving Enniskillen on Saturday, Diarmuid, you are going to be disappointed, because you're really kind of questioning why you're doing it. You're moving into a Talton Cup that who knows really is going to take seriously, Diarmuid. So it's it can be tough stations too, Diarmuid.
Yeah, look, they're training hard there all season, and like, you're playing in a league campaign there where you're playing against teams of you know, that your same standard and you've a realistic chance of winning something in that there, and then you're going into a championship and a preliminary round and you're knocked out. It needs an overhaul. Like the provincial championships, they are outdated. Like I don't really know what the solution is, or whether the Talton Cup is going to be that solution or not. If I'm being 100% honest with you, when I was playing myself there, a second grade competition like the Talton Cup wouldn't have been something there now that would have got me too excited there. You know, you like playing, going out in the qualifiers there, playing against some of the bigger teams there, you know, getting a chance of taking a scalp with some of these Division 1 teams there. If you get them into Pearse Park, getting a big crowd in there, and a lot of supporters out for it, like they were the sort of games that you kind of look forward to. You're not going to get that anymore there with some of these teams in the lower divisions. So I don't know what the motivation is for them. A lot of these lads that are involved in the inter-county setups, they're very driven individuals. They enjoy being part of like a setup where they're training, you know, a few times a week and, you know, developing as footballers. So it's hard though for them to get knocked out in that preliminary stage there, and you know, they're going to be looking at going back to their clubs. It's a short season for them. I think they do need to actually introduce something there. You see, the league is the competition that people are enjoying watching there. You see a bit more exposure there with games being televised as well in the league, and it's great to watch there. Like every team that's going into play against each other there, you know it's going to be a competitive game. You're going to see a couple of games in the provincial championships there now where it's going to be mismatches, and nobody really wants to watch that. So yeah, no, it does. It needs a bit of an overhaul. I don't know what they're going to be fit to do to try and level the playing field, but they'll have to do something there, and that's for sure. People have been harping on about it for the last few years, and you know, you need to see some sort of change in it.
100%. I suppose last point on it, Diarmuid as well. Fergal Logan, Brian Dewar, obviously. Probably a bit of criticism probably after winning Sam, and obviously 7 players have departed the Tyrone team, so that kind of performance that they did put in Saturday night, I know the first half was a bit shaky, but the second half performance, it probably shut up a lot of critics.
Yeah, I know. Look, they're All Ireland champions. You know, they're going to be heavily criticised there when they don't turn up and perform to the capabilities that everybody knows that they can. So look, Fergal Lohan and Brian Dewar would have been delighted there would they have thought that they were going to win an All-Ireland championship there last year? I'm not so sure, with the way Dublin were so dominant in the previous years, and then Kerry obviously being a lot of people's, you know, favourites then as well too, to try and get an All-Ireland championship back down to Kerry there for the first time, and I think it's about 8 years or something since they've had an All-Ireland down there. So Tyrone were the team that came through and fully deserved it there. You know, they played a great brand of football there last year, you know, great running game. They looked in phenomenal shape, so the lads are doing a great job with them there. Look, they'll be just happy to get over the line there with that Fermanagh game. They had I suppose, mixed bag of a league campaign there, but they'll be really gunning towards winning an Ulster Championship there this year, and they've plenty of options there. Like, I know a few lads have dropped off the panel, but you know, they've a world of talent up there in Tyrone there and forwards and that, and a few lads on the top of their game. So yeah, look at Fergal Lohan and Brian Dewar there. They won't be over analysing that game, I wouldn't think. Now they'll be happy to just get across the line there, and they'll be looking forward there to bigger challenges ahead.
Yeah, no, Diarmuid, 100%. And moving on to yesterday's action in the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarter-final in Ruislip, it was Leitrim 3-12, London 2-11, and obviously a very, very good game of football. It wasn't on GAA Go. Obviously the following game was, so it wasn't, because a lot of people probably would have had interest in watching this game. Andy Morton, first championship win as a manager. He'll be delighted. It's a tough place to go to. We all know about it. So a good win for Andy Morton's men, Diarmuid.
Yeah, 100%. Again, Andy Morton, I'd say Andy Morton didn't care less whether he got a 1 point win over in Ruislip or whether he got a 10 point win over there. He just wanted to get through that game. And like, London is a difficult place to go anytime, but especially this year, London are a team that's playing with a lot more confidence there, and they have a very strong outfit over there at the moment. They're like, they had a very quick start to the league. They won their first few games, and they kind of petered off then towards the end of it there. But like London are no joke there this year. Like, they have a strong side, and Leitrim would have been delighted to get out there with the win. I've seen some of the highlights there afterwards as well too. There's some good football played there. Ryan O'Rourke had a very good game there for Leitrim. They created a good few goal chances there as well too. London came back. Leitrim were up by about 8 points, I think, there was less than 10 minutes to go, and London managed to bag 2-1 then. So, they were under the cosh there towards the end of the game, and they managed to pull it out of the fire there, like Ryan O'Rourke got a goal then at the very end of the game then in I think the 5th or 6th minute of injury time there. But they'd be just delighted to get out of there with the win, because they would have been going into that game knowing full well, that London had the capabilities of taking a scalp, and that's the last thing Andy Morton wanted there with his first year in charge there, was to be going over to London and losing your first round of your championship game in Connacht. So he'd be delighted to get through that game, and Leitrim would be looking to build from there. But again, they're coming up against some of the powerhouses there.
Yeah.
So, they're delighted to get over the line, and look, they're going to give it a lash and everything like that, and they're not going to go in with a defeatist attitude into the next game. But realistically, are they going to be fit to be capable to put it up to the likes of Galway and Mayo and these teams? It's hard to see it, but they'll still be happy to have got over the line there. The last thing they wanted was to lose that game to London over in Ruislip, so they'll be delighted to have got across the line and have another day out in the championship.
No, definitely, I suppose, and you make an interesting point. But yeah, they will be delighted. And obviously, Ryan O'Rourke, I see Emlyn Mulligan even came on to kind of shore it up for them and just kind of get over the line. So they will be happy. And I suppose from a London point of view, they had a very good league campaign. Michael Maher and Lorcan Mulvey, they'll be probably happy with their year's work and on to go to the Tailteann Cup now, I suppose. So look, London probably will be relatively happy, and obviously Leitrim probably were favourites going into it. So all in all, not a bad year so far for London, Dermot.
Yeah, no, London have a lot of positives to take there from this year, I think that's the most competitive league campaign they've had in a few years there. So, they're trending in the right direction. I'd say a lot of those lads now, they'll be excited to obviously take part in the Tailteann Cup, and then for next year they'll be looking to build in, and they'll have the confidence up there that they're fit to take scalps there in Division 4. I think Cavan and Tipperary were two very strong sides to have in Division 4 there this year as well too. So it was always going to be an uphill battle to try and gain promotion there. But I think London took a lot of teams there by surprise there. Took a lot of teams by surprise this year in the league there to start to get off to. So and that was a very good outing that they had against Leitrim. They'd be a little bit disappointed there that they couldn't, finish the job off when they pulled back that deficit of 8 points at the end of the game. They scored 2-1. They had all the momentum at the end of that game to try and get across the line. But it's trending upwards for them. It's great to see. It's great to see the Exiles so strong over there. And it'd be interesting to see if they can build on the momentum from this year in the league and hopefully have a strong campaign again then next year and see how they get on the Tailteann Cup.
Yeah, no, and you make obviously a very good point about Leitrim's next game. I think it's the potential of Mayo and Galway, and it's probably begging the question now with kind of making the provincial series. They really are a dead duck really at this point, German. And obviously we touched on the Fermanagh Tyrone game, and Fermanagh's kind of season 7 points in the Ulster Championship. That's where they want to be competing in. So it is probably very disappointed to kind of for their next game. They'll probably just realistically get railroaded, German, and all of course on to go to the Tailteann Cup, but it's just papering over the cracks, German. Let's be real.
Yeah, look at you, that's it. But you're not going to convince any of those Leitrim boys there now that, they're not going to be going into that game there thinking that they've got some sort of a chance there if they can kind of hold it a little bit tight. Like, they're always going to be going in. You can't go in with an attitude into a game like that there that you're beaten before the ball is thrown up there, so that's. They'll be going in and they'll be talking about how they can get at the weaknesses of these teams and that. But realistically, what you're going to have more than likely is, Galway or Mayo are just going to be too strong there, and you're going to have a mismatch. And it's not something that people want to see. Morton, my own county there, Longford there, you're involved in some games. You're travelling up to Croke Park, and you want to get up playing Croke Park, and you want to play against some of the top teams and that. But when you come out the wrong side of a hammer in there to the likes of some of the top teams like Dublin and that, it does leave a sour taste in your mouth. That the reward of winning a championship game against a team that's more on your level is to go up a massive step up then against a Division 1 team there, like a powerhouse like Mayo there, and obviously Galway's back up in Division 1 there now next year as well too. It's, you know, it's a bit of a poison chalice there, the reward that you're getting for winning the first round of the championship, having to go in and play against a team that's so far ahead then as well too. So look, it's outdated. Like, I don't know what they're going to do to change it there, but until it gets to the latter stages of the All-Ireland Championship, people's interest isn't really going to be there in the provincial competitions, apart from obviously Ulster, the one provincial competition that kind of stands out from the rest.
Yeah, and like the frustrating thing, I suppose, is we could be blue in the face talking about German, but like the changes there, it's right in front of our eyes, and obviously the next game Leitrim play, it could be a 10-15 point hammering, like we seen Mayo Leitrim last year in the Connacht Championship, and it was just probably an embarrassing day from all parties, and it's going to be the same. And then on we go to the Tolton Cup, and it's just going to be probably a bog standard again. It's you're not really competing for the top honour, so I don't know. I can't see it. I can't see much of a change this year, unfortunately, once again. But that's the cards we keep being dealt with. And in the other kind of quarter final in Gaelic Park, it was Sligo 116, New York 15 points, Diarmuid, and by God, they ran the Sligo men close. I don't think John McAtee will be overly, or is it Tony McAtee? Will be overly impressed with this performance with the Sligo men. Very, I suppose, bog standard up until you could nearly say the last 5 or 10 minutes. But the New York lads, fair play to them, and it was great to hear Pat Spillane on commentary for this game, Diarmuid.
Yeah, Spillane. Yeah, I was looking on Twitter there. He was getting a bit of a roasting there from Ewan McKenna there, giving out all the belching and that he was doing there, commentating over there for the game. But I think Pat was nearly the most excited spectator there, and he was commentating on it. Like, I think he was completely shocked there by, and so was I, to be honest with you, by how strong New York were. And, you know, like, the game was competitive. That's all you want to see. You want to see two teams competitive against each other there. The weather was good over in New York in the Gaelic grounds. There was some good football played. Sligo, you know, they gave the ball away, you know, too many times in the second half, and New York would be a bit disappointed that they couldn't have punished some of those mistakes that Sligo were making, because they had lots of ball, they had lots of possession, the few very good players on show. But New York really shocked me how they can go in and play against a team like Sligo, who has had so many competitive fixtures there this year already. And, you know, they've been building towards this game there with a lot of league games, and then you've had pre-season competition then before that. And New York, it just shocks me how they can get into the shape that they're in, and how they can build all year to just one game. That's all that they have. What sort of preparation that they're doing, and that, like, you have to give them serious credit there, that they're fit to come out and that they're fit to be competitive in that game. And for stages there in the second half, it looked like they could have got across the line, like they drew the game level there with a few minutes to go, and they had chances. They hit the post, and, you know, there's some very good footballers on show there, end of early, and you had Ellis in midfield, Johnny Glynn there, a big man mountain there. Some of the feeling he was doing in the first half there was a joy to watch. You had a Sullivan lad there, wing half back, who'd mighty pace there, like looked like a really, really good footballer there. So yeah, no, look, they were very strong as well. I know New York's a good distance away, but you'd like to see them that be fit to have a few more competitive games earlier on in the year, you know, give themselves a bit more of a realistic chance there. But you'd love to see New York getting across the line some of these years, and they've been so close there in the last 2 or 3 years. You know, it's heartbreaking for them just to get that big win in the Connacht Championship.
No, 100%. Like, and it was a really lip-tuck game for anyone that was watching. It was a brilliant game of football, and it's just such a pity. New York's probably lack of maybe guile up front, Jeremy, to a degree, and probably just get the ball over the bar when they're in good opportunities, and kind of wasting a lot of opportunities. They really could have actually bet Sligo, because I think it's like New York were by far the better team, and they should be really proud of themselves. And obviously we talked about Johnny Glade, we talked about Adrian Farley up front, so many impressive displays in that New York team, Jeremy, and I'd love to see if they could build a few blocks in that game.
Yeah, you'd love to, but then again, like, when are we going to see New York again? I think New York are competing in the Tolton Cup there this year.
I think so.
But like, outside of that, it's going to be such a big long gap until you see New York competing again. Like, they won't be competing again until the championship then again next year. So they really need more competitive fixtures there throughout the season for them to have a realistic opportunity there of taking a scalp over there in Gaelic Park. And the same with any of these exile teams, like you don't know what players you're going to get holding on to or what players you're going to have from year to year. But it's just you were crying out for them to try and get across the line. And no disrespect to any of the Sligo fans out there, I'd say they were delighted to get away with the win. Sligo had some good performances as well too. Sean Carabine there looked very good there.
Brilliant, yeah.
Great athlete there, like great pace. Niall Murphy was a little bit quiet, but then when it came to the end of the game, then when they needed him there, he kicked a couple of great frees. Like he had a couple of big scores for them. The full forward there for Sligo there as well too. Pat
Hughes, no,
it wasn't Hughes there. No, he was very good there as well too. Now kicked a few great scores there as well. They had some good performances there, Sligo, but yeah, they were very wasteful. They were very wasteful going forward. Gave away a lot of possession. Played into New York's hands. They had players drop back, and they were kicking in 50-50 balls. And look, they have a bit of improving to do, and they're going to be up against, I think, Roscommon, isn't it, in the Connacht semi-finals? So Roscommon's at another level entirely there. Like, and Roscommon seem to have a conveyor belt of footballers coming through the whole time. They're after getting promotion up to Division 1. They've been competitive in Connacht for the last few years. They've had their own success there with a couple of provincial championships, and you know, you have the three big powerhouses there in Connacht, and I just don't think Sligo's going to be fit to get up to the standards of Roscommon there for the Connacht semi-finals. So, but look, they'll be happy to get across the line there. They didn't want to lose that game to New York over in Gaelic Park, that's for sure.
No, 100%. No, and it really did look like there was an upset in the cards. And God, it was a really spirited performance from the New York lads. And I think I'd love to see the stats from it, because they overturned the ball about 20 plus times. German, there's a joy to behold. The midfield was great, just that bit of composure up top. But they definitely had the force to do the damage. So it was bogger belief. But referring to Sligo, I suppose, German, like they will be disappointed. It probably took the last 10 minutes to really start get going. So that'll not do against Roscommon, German. They will eat them alive if they, put in a similar type performance in a couple of weeks' time.
100%. You won't get away with those turnovers that they had against New York, like some of the elementary mistakes that they had. They were just giving the ball away without any pressure there. Like they were kicking in 50-50 balls into the full forward line, and New York were, lapping it up there. They were getting two or three lads around the Sligo forwards there, and they were turning them over then. All the time, relentlessly, they were turning them over. So you're going to get punished against bigger, stronger teams, and teams like Roscommon there, who are going to be fit to transition fast. If you're going to be turning the ball over like that, they're going to be fit to come up the field there in droves, and they're going to transition fast, and they're going to get the ball into good shooters then as well, and they're going to punish you. So Sligo, and the same with any teams in the lower divisions there, like you need to, the turnovers have to be minimised. Like you need to be not turning over possession there too often, and you need to be maximising your opportunities there when you do get in front of goals. You need to be taking your chances. So they've improved to do, but maybe that's the kick that they needed there to maybe knock any complacency out of them going into the next game. They have some very talented forwards as well if they can get going, but they've a lot of improvement to do if they're going to be competitive with Roscommon in the Connacht semi-final.
No, you're bang on. And fair play to the New York lads. It was an absolutely brilliant performance, and I hope to God in the Tolton Cup they can kind of step up and keep striving forward, because it was brilliant to see yesterday, and hats off to them. And so we'll move on to this weekend's action, Dermot. In the Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter-final, you have Antrim against ourselves, Cavan, in Carrigan Park at 2 p.m. So it's a great game to look forward to. Nice and early on Saturday. Very, very early fixture. I think it'll be clashing with some of the soccer, so no doubt people will be giving out. But it's going ahead. It's going to be down at Carrigan Park. We didn't want to play it there. It's being played there, Dermot.
Yeah. Tried their best to get the game moved out of there, and I wouldn't blame them anyway. It's not too easy of a spot to go up to and get a win. But Cavan will be still going into this game and expecting to come out with the win. I think I know they were playing Division 4 there this year, but that Cavan team should never have been down Division 4 in the first place there. I think it was just the format of the league there last year. If the league format was ran the way it usually is there in previous years, I wouldn't see Cavan have been relegated there out of Division 3. It's too strong of a team. You can't go from winning an Ulster Provincial Championship there to dropping down to Division 4 in a couple of years. Like they're a higher standard than that. The few players there that have kind of stepped up as well there, I think Lynch isn't at full forward.
Paddy Lynch, yeah.
He had a good year with Cavan there, like, and he's been a promising player for the last few years. I've seen him in championship games there with Crusher in there in Breffni Park, like, and he's a very good footballer for them. So it's good to see him kind of, because Cavan need a sort of a go-to, marquee forward there. They've always played a very sort of tight, compact game, always been very good defensively there. They're in good shape. You've got Grove McKiernan there as well too, who on his day is one of the best players there in the country there. So I think Cavan will be getting in, still be getting with confidence there that they can get the win in this game. Antrim had a decent enough league campaign, but fell short from promotion a couple of the games there. The struggle to put back-to-back performances together, and they lost a couple of the pivotal ties. They lost to, I think, Louth, and was probably the end of their promotion race. But it'll be a tight game. It won't be an easy one for Cavan to go up and get the win. But I'd say Cavan people will be still, they'll be still quietly confident there to cross the line and move on and progress in the championship. And who knows? That's the magic of the Ulster Championship. You've seen a couple of years ago, you would have never thought that Cavan was going to win one, and they did. And who's to say that a team can't come through and do that again there? That's the competitive edge of the Ulster Championship, and that's why people have a lot more of an interest in paying close attention to it.
No, 100%, Chairman. A game we're looking forward to, and I suppose kind of touching on it, is there any need for kind of concern? Like, and obviously, like everyone keeps saying to me that Antrim's probably going to turn this over and this, that, and the other. But Chairman, I firmly believe if we are professional enough about it, I think a couple of injuries are coming back here in Brady's ACL. I think he's on the road to recovery. I think he's very close to contention, and a couple Oisin Kiernan and Grove McKiernan and Paddy Lynch are doing quite well at the minute. But I know the game against Tipperary was quite quiet for a lot of lads, but is there any need for concern for Cavan going into this game, or do you think we should just get over the line?
They definitely wouldn't want to be going up with any complacency up there now, for sure. That Antrim team's good big physical team. You've a few, I think you've got some of the McCanns there still there.
Michael and Thomas,
yeah, and then you've got Murray there, as a Conor Murray there in full forward line. There is a good footballer as well too, big lad. Oran Eastwood there as well too. They're a strong physical team. I know they ran Longford over there when Longford travelled up to play them. They gave Longford a good clip in there that day in the league. Longford were no match for them whatsoever. It probably wasn't one of Longford's better days, but Antrim, they're a powerful force, and when they're playing at home as well too, they're going to be confident there, and they're going to be looking to try and get across the line, because they've had a lot of poor outings there in the Ulster Championship there in recent years, so they're going to be really chomping at the bit to try and get that win. And they're going to be seeing Cavan as a team that's, they're playing a lower division than Antrim there this year. They're going to be seeing them as a realistic chance of getting across the line. But you mentioned like Kieran Brady there. It's great to see Kieran Brady, making it back in after, a horrific injury that he got there, because he was in the form of his life there when he got injured there that time. You don't like to see players, when they're in such good form and young and they're at the top of their game, you don't like to see them suffering big injuries like that. So it'd be great to see him coming back there into the fold as well too. But that Cavan team, they've a steady, the same sort of players there over the last few years, and they've been fit to hold on to them. And that sort of camaraderie that you have there from holding on to the same team there for the last few years, that should stand to them as well too in championship games. It showed in championship there previously for them as well, when at the end of the games there they had the belief that they could get back into it, and they backed each other up as well too. So look, they'll be shocked and disappointed if they can't get across the line, but they'll really know that this is going to be a challenge for them. They're not going to go up here and be complacent and just get the win against Antrim. They're going to have to come up with the right attitude, and they're going to have to come up with a lot of intensity in this game to get the win against Antrim.
Fingers crossed to do, Jeremy. I suppose last thing on it, I suppose kind of playing in Division 4 and kind of some of the kind of quality games we were playing, it was very lack of intensity. It was at a couple of games, the Leitrim game, the Wexford game, the Carlow game, probably, and the Waterford game, Jeremy, like definitely was not good preparation for the championship. So is there any of that kind of, obviously like playing the lesser teams? I know Antrim were in Division 3, did a decent Division 3 campaign. So I suppose it's a bit of a clean slate. Let's hope, Jeremy.
Yeah, 100%. Like they were playing against some teams there of a lower standard, but then Division 3 and Division 4, there's not a massive gap between the two of them. And even when you're stepping up into Division 2, then you see a lot of teams that get promoted from Division 3 the struggle to kind of stay up in Division 2, and then the jump from 2 to 1 is just enormous, but Division 3 to Division 4, there wouldn't be a massive gap between those teams. Some teams in Division 4 that have been there the last couple of years, and the players coming in and off the panel, and they're probably lacking in confidence more than that and else. But it's easy when you see the likes of Mickey Hart coming in, and you can get just a little bit of momentum there from getting the marquee manager in with the likes of Loud there, and you see them getting back-to-back promotions there from 4 up to 3, and there's no reason why Cavan will be looking there, I'd say, next year when they get back up at the 3. Like Cavan they'll be putting themselves there as in their own minds as one of the favourites there to get promoted from Division 3 after just jumping up from Division 4. So they had some good competitive games in that. Like they'd be coming off the back of competitive game against Tipperary up in Croke Park as well too. So that's as a Gaelic footballer playing intercounty in this country, they're the sort of games that you want to be playing in. Like it might be a Division 4 final, but still a league final, and you're playing up in Croke Park, up in headquarters. It's not that often that you're going to get playing up there. So they're the sort of games that you look forward to. You like get playing up in Croke Park, and they'll be coming off the back of that and getting promotion with a bit of confidence. But they'll be fully understanding there that if they go into this game with any bit of complacency at all, they're going to be falling into a trap there with Antrim, and they won't want that. They want to get off to a quick start. They'll want to impose themselves on the game early on and come out of there with the win. That'll be the main thing for Cavan, is just get out of there with the win, regardless of whether it's 1 point, 2 point. They just want to get out of there with the win and move on, then progress in the championship.
Yeah, no, spot on, Jeremy. Let's hope so. We don't do too easy things. We don't do easy things up here, Jeremy. So let's just hope it's straightforward. Because if Antrim get over the line against us, I will be hearing about it till 2050, no doubt. And we'll move on to Sunday's action before you have a heart attack. It's the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarter final. It's Mayo against Galway at 4 p.m. Jeremy, what more can you say about this game?
Look, to be hoping for a good game of football, and you'd be hoping that it'll be, positive, that the teams won't be too defensive there against each other. It can be fairly cagey affairs between Galway and Mayo, as what we've seen in the past few years there as well. Mayo, obviously getting to the All-Ireland final there last year again and losing it, but they had, they had a decent league campaign there. They would have been wholly disappointed there with the final there against Kerry there, with the performance that they put in that. But they had a few big scalps there before that, and they looked to be moving well, and they're blooding in a few new players into the side. Galway's playing at a lesser standard there this year in Division 2. Looked very good there throughout the league. Looked to be above Division 2 standard. And Galway are one of those sort of teams there that you're never going to be in any doubt that they're going to be fit to get themselves up for the game against Mayo. This is really their All-Ireland final there for them. They're just playing against Mayo in this first round of the Connacht Championship there. They're going to really want to be taking the bragging rights out of this game there. So it's going to be a game that's going to be impossible to call. I feel that Mayo might just have the edge, but it's going to be to see whether or not they have any, damage from losing that league final in the manner that they did against Kerry, or whether they're going to be fit to pick up the pieces and get back and get themselves back up for this game against Galway. I think the games that they played in Division 1 there this year is going to stand to them more so than Galway playing now in Division 2. But look, this game could go either way. If it was going to be, putting a bet in it though, I'd have to go with Mayo to edge it out there.
No, 100%. Again, we cannot wait for this weekend. And moving on to the Leinster Football Championship round 1, you have Wicklow against Laois in Aughrim at 3:30. So, Jeremy, that's going to be a nice tight game. Obviously, the Leinster Championship, we know all about the ins and outs of that, who's going to probably win it out eventually. But look, these teams have to play each other for, I suppose, for what really? But there you go.
I suppose you could say bragging rights or something there.
Bragging rights.
Yeah, and for statistics there as well too. Look, Laois would have been very disappointed there with their league campaign. I know Longford travelling down there and beating them in the last round of the league, getting that win. Laois are going to be very disappointed. Laois have come back a fair bit now in football. I don't know what the story is with them there in recent years, but the flatter to deceive there in recent seasons, and for such a proud footballing county there as well too, that would have been at the start of this century there. Laois would have been, competing in Leinster Championship finals there, and they would have won the Leinster Championship there as well too. So they've come back a good bit, and they would have been shockingly disappointed to get relegated to Division 4. So it remains to see whether or not they're going to be fit to pick themselves up for this game there against Wicklow. Like you say, what really have they got to play for there? Either team gets through this game, how far on are they going to get on the Leinster Championship? I don't think either really has a chance there of making a Leinster final, but if I was going to go with a team there, I'd possibly go with Laois, but look, it just remains to be seen whether or not how serious they're going to take it, and how if they're damaged from getting relegated there out of Division 3. Wicklow weren't really close to promotion there out of Division. They got relegated out of Division 3 as well. Sorry. So look, it's two teams that are going to be low on confidence there. So maybe I'd go with Laois there, maybe, but it could go either way really. I don't think anybody's going to be paying a whole pile of attention to it as well too, because neither team's really going to have any say there as it gets on in the later stages of the championship as well too.
Yeah, and I think it's very close to the. I tell you what. Oh no, it's actually after the Donegal and Armagh game, but. Yeah, will viewing figures be good for that one? I'm not sure. I don't even think it's on the TV. It's not listed for the TV here. So, but we'll move on swiftly. You've Louth against Carlow in Park Tolchin at 2:30, Jared?
Yeah, look, it's hard to not go with Louth in this one. They're on an upward curve. Mickey Hart has them there with back-to-back promotions. Carlow flattered to deceive in Division 4 there this year. They might have had 1 or 2 wins in it there, but they conceded lots, and they seem to be going back a little bit there. They got promoted a couple of years ago and they got relegated again then out of Division 3, and they seem to have gone back a little bit there since Turlock O'Brien, and I think was it Paddy Tally was down with him there a couple of seasons ago, was it?
Stephen Poacher.
Oh, Stephen Poacher is right. Yeah, Stephen Poacher. Yeah, so they around that time then they were playing that whole defensive thing, but they got a bit of momentum going. They got promotion out of the league, but they seem to have fallen back in the last couple of seasons then since that. Whereas Louth are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They're on a complete upward curve. I know Longford played them in the first round of the league there this year, and they got a draw against Louth. And Louth, you were kind of wondering there whether or not, they were going to do much in the league then after that. But they got some great wins. Sam Mulroy, probably one of the most informed footballers in the country there at the moment as well too. Very accurate there. Just a great footballer there. And you've a few faces there as well. There are like a few lads that have been playing for a good few seasons, like Tommy Dernan there in midfield, and Bevan Duffy there is in around the full back line there as well too. Kieran Byrne then as well, coming back from Australian rules as well. It'd be a phenomenal athlete there as well. And Mickey seems to be getting he seems to be getting the tune out of them as well too. So they're up in Division 2 next year, and they'll be going into the Leinster Championship, and they'll be looking to get through this game against Carlow, and they'll be looking to try and take a scalp there of some of the teams there, some of the bigger teams that's in the championship there, whether they get playing Meath or Kildare or some of these. They're capable of taking a scalp for any of the teams outside of Dublin, really. I'd say Dublin, even if they were poor in the league this year, I still don't see them having much of a battle in retaining their Leinster Championship. I just don't see the other teams being up to scratch there yet to try and take them on.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, talking about more teams that probably won't put a challenge up to Dublin, it's Wexford against Offaly in Chadwick's Wexford Park at 3 p.m. Diarmuid, obviously Wexford on the back of a very, very bad league campaign. Offaly not bad going into this game, but all signs are pointing towards an Offaly win.
Yeah, look, Offaly's been playing Division 2, playing a higher standard as well too. Wexford have flattered to deceive. Offaly would be bitterly disappointed there that they couldn't manage to retain their Division 2 status. They're after yo-yoing from Division 3 up to Division 2 and back to Division 3 again. So, that's going to be shockingly disappointing there for them. They played some good football. They were competitive in Division 2 there this year as well too, but that's the step up from 3 to 2. It's, you're playing games at a higher intensity. You're playing against a lot stronger county teams there as well too. You had Galway and Roscommon in that division there this year as well. So Cork, you've got a lot of traditionally big GAA teams there playing in Division 2. So, but awfully be disappointed like that. But they had some good performances. They'll take a lot of confidence from that. I don't see them. The fact that the game is at home in Wexford is probably the biggest hurdle that they're going to have, is travelling down there to try and get the win. But it's hard to see Wexford coming out with the win out of this one. Offaly should have enough for them. McNamee is still playing away there and playing at a good standard. I don't know how the hell he's doing it there. But fair play to him anyway. I don't know what sort of genes that lad has there. But
handy job, it's a...
Yeah, I don't know now. But yeah, look, I'd say Offaly will get the win here, and I'd be surprised now if there was any other result.
Yeah, the poor Wexford lads are going to be licking their wounds, I feel, unless there's some absolutely massive change of fortunes. And missing out, or jumping on to the biggest game of the weekend, Diarmuid, Donegal against Armagh in Ballybuffet at 2 p.m. And since all the games being probably released, Rian O'Neill is going to be fit to play in this game. So really looking forward to it. It's a very hard game to call, obviously, and a lot of talk points going into it. So here we go.
Yeah, no, this is it. This is the sort of championship games that you're getting excited for. Donegal, Ballybuffet, very, very hard place to go. Armagh started off in the league there this year like a house on fire. McGeeney had them in phenomenal shape. Some great athletes with that team there as well. It's just whether or not we can see them continue on to progress with sort of intensity they were playing throughout the league, and if they can carry that into the championship. In previous seasons, I suppose you would have had a longer window from the league leading up into the championship, would have had a longer break, and it might have been a bit tougher for them. But the championship is starting fairly immediately after the league there now, so that could work in Armagh's favour. The fact that the game's at home in Donegal there gives them a little bit of an edge, and Armagh would have been seen as people would have had them as kind of dark horses in the previous few seasons in the Ulster Championship, and they didn't get across the line in some games. They'd be really, focusing on trying to get across the line there this year. It'll be seen as for them to be making progression with this team under McGeeney after the good league campaign that they had. McGeeney be really pushing to try and get the win against Donegal in this game, to bring this Armagh team on to the next level and get back competing there for an Ulster Championship again. And I think that they have the goods to do it. I think that Donegal have looked a little bit sluggish, a little bit lateral there with their play there this season. They've slowed the ball down a little bit too much. They've got a lot of good players there as well too, but I think Armagh should have enough there to get through this game. There are a few players there, Jarly O'Byrnes and a couple of the Mackins there as well too. Great seasons for Armagh. Then you've Rian O'Neill there, like a massive player back in with them, one of the top forwards in the country as well too. I think McGeeney has them moving well this year now. I'd be pipping Armagh to get across the line, but it's not going to be a simple task. Ballybuffet is a tough place to go, and Donegal will be quietly confident there now that they can get the win in this game as well too. Paddy McBrearty's in massive form again. Great to see, an unbelievable baller. And you've got, hopefully, I don't know what the story is with Michael Murphy. Like, he's been struggling a little bit with injuries and stuff, but if they have him, he's going to be pivotal there, because he's pretty much like the quarterback for this Donegal team. You've Patton likes to come out from the goals then as well too and get involved in play. Ryan McHugh's been a little bit quieter there this year as well, but you'd be expecting to try and get a bit of a spark out of him. But yeah, Donegal's got some great forwards, got some great footballers there as well too. So it's going to be a tight game. I just go for Armagh to pip them, just purely on the back of some of the performance to put in the league this year. But it's going to be a tough task for them, and there'll not be too much between the teams at the end of the day.
Does the winners of this game win Ulster?
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say it'll be a massive massive win for either team, and they'll be going into their next game with a lot of confidence. But I still get hard to sway away from Tyrone being the favourites for the Ulster Championship there this year. You know, they're All Ireland champions and they've got some phenomenal players on their team. I think they're just going to continue to improve as the championship goes on. They had a bit of a mixed bag of a league campaign, all right, but I just think this Tyrone team there, they have that, you know, they have that sort of wherewithal there, how to win these championship games there when they get tight. They've got some phenomenal athletes, and it's going to be tight. You're only throwing out your opinions here. I mean, like it's easily any of these teams there when they play against each other there in the latter stages, the Ulster Championship can clip each other's wings. But I'd still be going with Tyrone. I'd still think Tyrone will have that little bit of an edge there, and other teams there, you know, they are All Ireland champions. I think they'll be the favourites for the Ulster Championship. But yeah, whoever gets across the line between Armagh and Donegal, you know, they'll be going with a lot of confidence there as they continue on the championship, and it's a massive win for them to kickstart their championship campaign.
Yeah, it's going to be a mouth-watering game, we hope. And I suppose, kind of referring to this game, like, will experience be huge in this German? Because obviously, we look Armagh, they are coming hot and heavy. They had a great league campaign, a lot of youth on their team. But like the white heat of Ulster Championship Diarmuid, it's just ferocious intensity. It's in Ballybuffet, probably one of the homes of Ulster football. So will experience be key, or will Armagh's just hot and heavy nature of football get them over the line? Or, you know, what are we thinking?
Yeah, no, like it's the experienced men that you're going to be looking towards there. Like you have with the likes of Armagh there, you've got Falker there. They're playing the back line there as well too. Like that, he's a leader with this Armagh team as well. You'd be looking at, you know, which team can, you know, keep their discipline there the best as well on the day. We've seen with a lot of the intense clashes there with Ulster Championship in the Ulster Championship and in between the Ulster teams in the league as well too. It does tend to boil over a little bit there. You know, there's a serious competitive edge there when these teams are playing against each other. So it's the team that can kind of keep their discipline there, who can, you know, do their talk and really on the field with the football without, you know, getting carried away too much with the antics. Like you're gonna have a little bit of off the ball stuff and that, but if they can manage to keep the full contingent on the field there towards the end of the game, I think Armagh should have the better team there than Donegal there this year. I think Donegal have kind of flattered to deceive there. I'd seen them in a couple of games, and it's a bit harsh, I suppose, to kind of judge them on the Kerry game, but I was very disappointed with them there that day. I thought they were a little bit, you know, too lateral there, and they were a little bit sluggish in that. But if they can get Murphy back in, you know, they're playing at home as well too. That's a massive plus for them. You know, they're going to be going in there seeing themselves as favourites to win, but I'd still give Armagh the edge there to get across the line.
There we go. We cannot wait for that game, and hopefully it'll properly kickstart our championship, and it'll be great to see. And so, Diarmuid, you've been brilliant with your time. Who'd be your bet of the weekend and player to watch?
Bet of the weekend. Now, let me see. Well, if I was going to go for a bet of the weekend, I would probably stick with that Armagh. I'm going to call Armagh to get across the line up in Ballybuffet. You probably get decent odds on that there. The fact that Donegal is playing at home, and the player to watch there. Sure, you talked about him there as well too, coming through. I'd say Rian O'Neill there. It'll be great to see him in action there in the championship as well, and see what he can do. You know, he's had a great league campaign there, and I think he's a great footballer to watch there. You know, he's just such a big, powerful fella in there, full forward, and I'll be so interested to see how they can transition from the league into the championship and see can they really produce the goods there this year. I think, you know, they've got that bit of an edge to them there, and it'd be interesting to see if Rian O'Neill can come in and he can do a job in Ballybuffet, because it's a tough place to go. But yeah, I'd give them the bet of the weekend there to get across the line. Hope I'm not wrong on that.
Don't worry, there's always a lot of lads wrong with this podcast here, but don't worry. Well, look, I will go with Donegal to get over the line, but just about, and I'll go for Paddy Lynch to be the player to watch against Antrim. I think it's well set up for him, and he's probably going to silence a lot of critics. So we'll wait and see. Jeremy Masterson, thanks a million for joining me this week, and of course, this podcast is brought to you by Orgaretcha.com and Atak.ie. Use the promo code JMAC Podcast to get 15% off on Orgaretcha.com. I get the best skins, gloves, equipment on Atak.ie. Be attack minded, and if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe on YouTube because the sport's been absolutely brilliant so far. Jeremy, thanks a million.
100%, John. Good talking to you. And sure.